Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. Well, I'd like to welcome Dr. Miluna Fausch, who's a TV show producer and host of the Miluna TV network, a coach, an actor, and the author of Uplevel Your Communication, Evolve Your Presence and Speech to Change Everything. Welcome, Miluna. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
So tell me about this. How did you get into producing TV shows and coaching people? I saw on your website you help people get over the fear of speaking and talking, and people like me who grew up with a strong accent maybe and getting a better presence. How do you do that? And how did you get into that?
Thank you. I have been in love with the voice since I was a little kid. And what I've learned over the years, I'm very, very auditory. So I can hear things other people can't hear. If a word doesn't match, I can hear it or feel it. I can identify most cars by their engine sound. So very auditory. And I just think there's something magic about our voice, our presence, our expression, and what we're here to tell in the world. I had a lot of jobs. I'm a grand experimenter, I would say. I need to figure things out. And so I go right in there, or I train. Yeah. And between corporate and nonprofit and being an actor and singer, all of this came together. And this is my third TV show, believe it or not. The difference is now it's my brand, my dream, and now it's Miluna TV.
Yeah, Miluna TV. I like it. It's very melodical with the way you say it. That's really cool.
Thank you. So I would add to your question. I don't think I fully answered it.
That's okay.
I believe that our voice is part of our brand. So when we can up level and open up our expression, that means we're seen and heard, our message gets through, our company gets funded, all of these things that add magic to successful, effective communication.
I like that. So let me ask you sort of a deep dive question. So how do you train yourself or train your company, train your people to kind of have this presence in speech and also be authentic to who they are?
I think authentic is an interesting word because it's been overused, I think, because people will say, well, that's not authentic if I do that.
Yeah.
I believe if you're writing in your own voice as much as you can, now there may be compliance or legal issues. If you're writing your own speeches and you're writing your own words, you're taking ownership and putting it into your language and telling your story, then it is authentic.
Right.
When we're sharing somebody else's story, somebody wrote this speech for us, and it's not the way we sound when we speak, then that's not true to who we are. So I help people go through the filler words, the non-essentials, the pause. Well, you need to pause instead of filler words and get to the point of how do you want to tell this story and what does this mean? Now we're effective and we're true to who we are.
I like that. That's a great answer because the whole authentic thing is totally a rabbit hole. But I knew you would have a great answer for that because, like you said, so many people just overuse that word, and some people think it means one thing and people mean something else with it. And like you said, you gotta I believe the same thing. You got to make it your own. If somebody else does the work for you and you're just copying it, at best you can do is just copy it. You that's about it. So that's great. So tell me, who do you work with? Do you work with small businesses? Do you work with big businesses? Do you work just here in the Charleston area, or are you like all over the world? How do you work?
Thank you. I do have folks all over the globe. So it's virtual. We just work over like this,
Nice.
Zoom or different kinds of platforms. Riverside is what I use to shoot my TV show.
Right.
It's a combination of entrepreneurs and business owners. I've worked with CEOs, I've worked with entire leadership teams.
Wow.
And there's a magic to that because if I can help each key person in that C suite find their voice and their authenticity and learn how to communicate and have a presence and also listen, which
Right.
is part of the communication factor,
Yes.
then I can affect huge change for that company.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I will emphasize the whole listen thing. Early in my career, I worked for a very large consulting firm out of the Washington D.C. area, and we spent days of training on just listening because that's the most important thing in consulting and obviously in other areas too. And that's great. So getting people to, would you say, are you helping like especially like teams talk with one voice, or is it something a little bit more than that? How would you describe it?
I think it is the one voice would be the mission,
Mm,
the overall view. Where do we want to take this company and what do we agree on? So the mission statement might be presented by the whole leadership team, but in their way of saying it.
right.
Yes. So we say things differently and we might have different word choices,
Mm,
but certain things are going to match like that. And then when it gets really delicious, I would call it, is when each person brings their individual voice to the collective voice of the company.
right.
And that's where they say things their way and we're listening actively and deeply.
Mm.
That's the recipe, I think, for success.
Well, yeah, that sounds really cool. It almost sounds, I'm not a big music person, but I'm gonna give it in my kind of naive way. It's like it almost sounds like you're describing like like when you have a chorus or you have an orchestra. Everybody's got their own tone, their own voice, their own part in it, but it all combines together. Is that sort of like what you're saying when you have people doing that?
Absolutely. I do, coming from music and performing arts and everything, I do look at it that way. There is the conductor, perhaps the
Mm,
CEO of the company, and the rest of us have our instruments that we're great at playing. And when we all come together, it's music to our ears, isn't it?
right, right, right. It becomes magical. Yeah. I mean, I can say I experienced that like once or twice in my career where, I was working with someone very closely. And the reason I knew it happened was, not that I was that aware, was somebody we were talking to told it back to us. It's like, when I talk to you, it's like talking to you. You guys are saying the same thing, and even if you're not in the same room, it's like you guys are of one mind. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. I never even thought of it that way. Even though we're saying different words, like you were saying.
I love it. So you were the perfect duet then.
We work very well together. We're still friends, believe it
That's
or not.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Sometimes it becomes friendship as well, doesn't it? These
Yeah.
relationships that we have.
Yeah. And so you were saying you do stuff virtually. How do you connect with people? Does it take a lot of sessions to kind of help them through things, or is it just usually like one session? How's the process kind of work when you're helping coach people through these things?
They're 8-week sessions.
Okay.
And because folks don't have a lot of time,
Right.
right? Executives, founders, busy people. And so we get to the point. It's laser focused. My techniques are simple, so
Mm.
people will do them. They're not easy, and we're
Mm.
breaking habits. Sometimes it's a long time of speaking in a certain way. I have two programs. One is Uplevel, and that, well, there's a fancier name for
Yeah.
it, but it's for executives to become great at leading, at introducing, at speaking, presence for their people. The second is the camera ready media coaching.
Okay.
And that's for folks on camera. What do you do on camera? The choreography is smaller for camera than than a big stage or in person.
Right.
What do you wear to look great on camera? And that's preparation for folks who want to be on TV, need to media interview better. It's some of the same information as you can imagine, but the camera ready 8-week, at the end of it, then they get to be a guest on Miluna TV. That's part of that package.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. Yeah, I've had when I was a federal worker years ago, I had a very short course, like a couple of days, where we got to interact with some professional interviewers, reporters that were on TV, and just kind of get the feel of what it's like having that kind of thing. And you know, there's so many things that you just don't understand, like how you sit, what you do with your hands, like probably the color you're wearing, all those things mean something, and you've got to think about that. So I think what you're doing is super valuable, because you just don't know what you're communicating beyond what you're saying if you're not aware of those things, right?
You make a great point. We don't always perceive ourselves accurately because we're not looking at ourselves. We don't know. And it's what you said. There are nuances that make a world of difference in how you come across, and if it's effective and successful or not.
Right. Yeah, I know there's a lot of, like, I'm part of Chucktown Startups, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs in this area, and they're making pitches to get funding from VCs and other things. And I imagine they would love to talk to you, because that's just like, to me, that's just like being on TV. You're showing who you are, what your brand is, and what you bring to the table, and you're live. And you're talking to another person, and they're perceiving all these cues, whether they know it or not, right?
You're exactly right. I love what you said. We're always being perceived. We're always being judged because our reptilian brain still wants to know if this is a trustworthy, safe person.
Oh, nice.
And when you know what you're doing and you get these skills under your belt and you own it, that's when it really gets good, because that's when the funds come in and you're seen as the leader you are.
Wow.
So sometimes it's the inner voice coming out so much better to show really your brilliance and the leader that you are. That's when you get funded and get paid attention to.
That's cool. So let me ask you a sort of a side question here. So why Charleston? Why are you here in Charleston? Is it your family, community? Did you move here? Is it something about this area? So how did you get here?
Yes. How did we get here? Meaning my husband and myself. We've been here 2 years.
Okay.
And I say that Charleston was a heart move.
Oh, wow.
This is our 13th place to live. So we were on the East Coast. We were in California for years. Part of that was for my acting career in LA. Yeah. And about probably 3 years ago, at least. It took a while, right? Cross-country move is huge.
Right.
But it felt like we just needed something very, very different. So we arrived in Charleston. It had been a long time since I had been to Charleston. Our anniversary, we were celebrating that. My book was published by Advantage Forbes right downtown.
Nice.
And the beauty, the graciousness, the connection, the architecture, the food, the culture, the jazz, the music, it's all of that caused us to choose Charleston as our home now.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is. I tell people it's very eccentric. It's very, another way to say it's also very electric. It's very alive right now. It's only growing. We have, just from the business community, all these entrepreneurs, and, people are calling it Silicon Harbor because it's that kind of level of excitement and everything. But like you're talking about, even in the arts, in the food, in the community, and even in the religious culture around here. Everything's kind of, this kind of electricity that's going on. So it's a great place to be right now. And yeah, I'm somewhat new to Charleston too. We moved here in 2021, so I feel exactly what you're saying. It was a big decision for us, and it's been really good. We were very, very happy here.
Good. I think we'll keep it.
Yeah. So
we'll stay here a while. What do you think?
Yeah, why not? And so, you talk about also you've got this hobby with Formula One racing. So have you ever been to a Formula One race, like seen one live and everything? I saw somewhere that you met Mario Andretti, so you're very well tied into the community in a way. So
we did. We used to go when Formula was in Indianapolis. We went, I think, 3 years in a row, or did it only last 2 years? At this point, I'm not even sure.
Right.
There are so many races to attend around the world, so many opportunities to attend live. In the meantime, we'll continue watching F1.com.
Right.
Taping it, and we just saw F1 the movie, which was phenomenal because it was filmed on location at many of the races. It's somewhat realistic, and
that's good.
A pretty magical film.
Yeah, I saw one of the films that was about the story of like Ford versus Ferrari and stuff like that, and it's just an amazing story. I mean, it's like it's so much like history in this movie. I really love that. That's, to me, those are the kind of stories that really make history come alive. It's more than just dates and people's names and stuff. It's like, okay, what really happened? Why is things the way it is? So that was cool.
It's the story we remember, isn't it?
Right.
It's the story.
Well,
the people.
And I think, I bring that up because it sounds like, a lot of what you do and how you help people is to tell the story and tell the story in an effective way, in a way that resonates with people. So, that's really amazing. So you've been doing this for a while. You're on your third TV network. What advice would you have for other entrepreneurs here in the Charleston area?
I think the main thing is to listen to your own voice first. So when we're startups and we're entrepreneurs, we hear a lot of things from a whole lot of people. And I like to listen to everyone, but a lot of people haven't been in television. They're not really in a position to guide me. So listen to your own voice, trust your own voice above all others. Listen to everyone, but filter, and discern. And make sure that your heart resonates with what you're saying, with who you're working with, because I think our heart intelligence might be even bigger than our brain intelligence. It depends on who you ask, but bring your whole self and stay the course. Stay with what your heart is telling you as you're building your company.
I love that. I'm the whole thing about trust your heart, trust your, I would say intuition. Awesome. I totally feel that. I think, there's so much, just like emotions are basically like a giant box of data that's compressed it in something that we can all kind of consume, so emotions are important. Intuition, same thing. It's got all this data, so much data that you can't even fathom it logically, but it tells you an action to do, and you just have to listen to it. So I love that. I love that advice. So I really appreciate your time today. It was great talking to you, Miluna. I hope to get to see you maybe at one of the events around town. I know there's a number of events in Chucktown startups and others in the area. I hope my business grows enough that I can use your services also to help me have a better presence in person too. So thank you. And it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. I'm sure we will meet in person soon.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of low country innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.